Wisconsin University is under federal scrutiny over its hiring practices. The Department of Justice launching an investigation alleging the university may have been influenced by race and gender considerations in violation of federal law.
Our Julie Donaldson is live at George Mason with the latest on the story tonight. Julie.
Yeah, Jim, Sharon, the DOJ claims that they have internal emails, documents, and discussions dating back to July of 2020, when Gregory Washington took over as president of the university. Now, these records would show that Washington openly promotes and was pushing for hiring processes that would make sure that they have gender and race diversity. And so now the DOJ is launching a full investigation to see whether or not these practices would show a systematic process of discrimination. Now, in a letter sent out yesterday, the DOJ lists pieces of information that they have that has led to this investigation. The first being an email sent to Washington staff on July 23rd of 2020, where it reads in part that Washington intended to develop and promote faculty of color and women in their professional work, and went on to say that he will develop specific mechanisms in the promotion and tenure process that recognize the invisible and uncredited emotional labor that people of color expend to learn, teach, discover, and work on campus. The DOJ also claims to have documents of a policy that lists the race of each member on faculty, hiring panels to ensure greater non-white participation in the hiring process. They also have voice recordings of conversations between Mr. Washington, administrators, and faculty on an agenda to advance anti-racism, where he bragged on his history of hiring record numbers of diversity faculty based on race and sex characteristics. And then there's a social media post where he mentions a GMU employee that helped incorporate DE&I curriculum in a hearing process based on race and sex characteristics. And then there's a social media post where he mentions a GMU employee that helped incorporate DE&I curriculum in a hearing process. The DOJ is still seeking further information on this investigation. We spoke to former Assistant U.S. Attorney David Katz on this developing case.
The Department of Justice, of course, it's under new leadership now with the Civil Rights Division, and they're looking into violations of what you might call like extreme affirmative action, which is what they apparently think is going on at George Mason from some statements that were made by the people in charge at George Mason. Now, George Mason's defense is apparently going to be that they were abiding by the old laws of Virginia and the old laws in place. So what's remarkable to me is that there hasn't been more of a discussion between George Mason and the Office of Civil Rights before they put out this statement.
Now, we reached out to George Mason for comment, and they released a statement on their website saying that they will participate fully with this investigation. That statement was released within the last hour, really not that long ago. It says, in part, we remain confident that facts and evidence show that George Mason does not engage in illegal DEI, and as the general accusation has been labeled. Meanwhile, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined for a comment or interview on this matter. Jim, Sharon.